Let me tell you something up front, because people dance around this and I won't. Toxic habits don't ruin your life all at once. They drown you slowly, inch by inch, like water filling a bathtub while you're distracted arguing about the temperature. That's how it happens. You don't notice the level rising until you're gasping. And then you say, how did I get here? Here's the answer. You let things in that never should have been there. I saw this constantly in the Secret Service. People think danger announces itself. It doesn't. Predators don't crash through the front door. They wait for you to leave it unlocked. They pick the tired one, the distracted one, the one carrying too much, easy prey. Always, your mind is a bathtub. Cognitive load, emotional load, stress, drama, regret. Every toxic habit is another cup of water you pour in, scrolling when you're exhausted, replaying conversations from 5 years ago, keeping people around who drain you, saying yes when you mean no. Cup, cup, cup. Then one day, overflow, anxiety, burnout, rage, collapse. And here's the part people don't like hearing. No one forced you to pour the water in. No one. You chose it, or you failed to choose, and that is still a choice. I remember working a protective detail overseas, long hours, zero sleep. One of our guys kept snapping at everyone, angry, defensive, always on edge. Finally, I pulled him aside and said, if every bar you go to you get in a fight, is it the bar? He didn't like that, but it landed. He wasn't managing his load. Too much water in the tub. He thought toughness meant carrying more. Wrong. Toughness is knowing what to dump out. First toxic habit you leave behind today? Romanticizing your struggle. People wear pain like a badge, like it makes them special. It doesn't. You're not unique in your suffering, and that should relieve you, not insult you. Because if this pain is human, it's solvable. But you keep polishing it, replaying it, talking about it, feeding it, short-term comfort, long-term enemy. I interrogated people who clung to their story like oxygen, even when facts crushed it. This happened to me. Okay. And? Why are you still living there? Why does it matter now? Facts move you forward. Stories keep you stuck. Second habit, overanalyzing the past. Review is useful. Rumination is poison. One teaches, the other traps. If you're replaying something and there's no new data, no action step, no lesson, you're wasting oxygen. Stop it. Write down the lesson. Close the file. Move forward. Forward is the only direction that pays. Here's the hard truth. People are far more capable than they think. But capability requires space. You cannot grow in a flooded room. Drain the tub. So today, do this. List 3 things that drain you. People, behaviors, thought loops. Write them down, not 10. 3. Precision matters. Then ask yourself one brutal question. Why am I still choosing this? Because you are choosing it every day. And once you see that, you get your power back, not motivation. Power? Here's the next toxic habit you leave behind. Trying to change people instead of reading them. This one wrecks more lives than bad decisions. Because you think you're being patient. You think you're being loyal. You think if I explain it better, if I love harder, if I give them time, no. You're negotiating with reality, and reality doesn't negotiate back. People are icebergs. What you see is 10%. The rest is under the water. Values, patterns, character, history. You don't argue with an iceberg, you steer around it, or you sink, period. I learned this early in protective work. Presidents, foreign leaders, heads of state. You don't protect who you wish they were, you protect who they are. I watched agents get burned because they assumed someone would act reasonably. That's fantasy. We worked off behavior. Always behavior. Facts beat feelings every time. Same thing in relationships. Same thing at work, same thing with family. If someone shows you inconsistency, believe it. If someone lies under pressure, mark it. If someone collapses when things get hard, that's data. Not bad, not evil, just data. I had a family member. Smart, charming, always in trouble. Every time they screwed up, there was a story, a reason, a villain. I kept thinking, this time they'll get it. Years went by. Same pattern, different packaging. Finally it hit me. I was the pattern. I kept expecting a different outcome from the same behavior. That's not hope, that's denial. Here's the contrast you need to tattoo into your brain. Acceptance is not approval. Say it again. Acceptance is not approval. You accept people as they are so you can make intelligent decisions. Stay, adapt, create distance, or leave. Those are your options. Trying to change them is not on the list. And listen, this matters. Who you let into your circle changes your nervous system. Low vibration people don't just annoy you, they dysregulate you. They dump their chaos into your bathtub. And then you wonder why you're tired all the time. You're not tired, you're overloaded. I used to train agents on something we called the drowning rescuer problem. Someone panicking in the water will grab you and take you down with them. They don't mean to, they're just desperate. If you don't create distance, you both die. Harsh. True. Same with people. Next toxic habit, confusing empathy with self-sacrifice. Empathy without boundaries is self-destruction. You can care without carrying. You can understand without absorbing. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Who told you that lie? Ask yourself this: does this relationship make me stronger or smaller, calmer or anxious, clear or confused? Your body already knows the answer. You just don't like it. Action step: simple, brutal, effective. Pick one person you've been trying to fix. Write down their repeated behavior, not their words, not their intentions, their actions. Then decide, adapt, or step back. Stop negotiating. Drain the tub. Protect your energy. Because the next habit we're going to talk about, this one keeps people stuck for decades. Now let's talk about the habit that sneaks up quietly, the one that masquerades as productivity. But it's pure poison, overcommitting while under-delivering. Everyone's busy. Everyone's hustling. I get it. I've been there. I've signed up for more than I could handle, thinking I was proving something. Here's the truth. Proving something to other people is a losing game. You're showing them your stress, not your value. You're filling your tub to the brim with tasks, obligations, favors, promises, then blaming yourself or the world when it overflows. I remember one detail in the White House. A junior agent was juggling 3 high-profile assignments simultaneously. Emails, briefings, on-site duties, always visible, always proving. One small misstep and the president's schedule went sideways. He felt guilty. But here's what I told him bluntly. Your job isn't to show them you can do everything. Your job is to keep your focus sharp on what matters. Do less, do it better, live to fight another day. He thought it was harsh. It wasn't, it was survival. Overcommitting is a habit rooted in fear, fear of missing out, fear of letting someone down, fear of not being enough. It's a fear you're letting control your tub. And fear is heavy. It drags your feet, slows your reactions, clouds your judgment. People who appear calm under pressure, they've mastered the art of saying no. Not harshly, not rudely, simply, selectively. Contrast pair for emphasis: short-term friend, long-term enemy. That's what overcommitment often creates. You appear reliable now, but the constant overflow erodes trust, energy, and performance over time. People see you stretched thin, flustered, frazzled, and then they stop counting on you. You become less reliable, not more. Actionable step. This one's tangible. Write down every commitment you've made for the next 30 days. Circle the 3 that are non-negotiable, high impact, or truly matter. Cross out the rest. Email, text, cancel, delegate. It's brutal. It's uncomfortable. That's the point. Your bathtub has limits. Respect them. Next toxic habit is related, but even sneakier: clinginess to comfort zones disguised as loyalty or routine. People defend habits that keep them stuck. They say, I've always done it this way, or I'm just being loyal, or it's tradition. That's not loyalty, that's a blindfold. It keeps you trapped in patterns that limit growth, productivity, and emotional health. I saw it constantly during investigations. Witnesses, suspects, even my own team would stick to a process because it felt safe, predictable. Predictable doesn't mean effective. Safe doesn't mean smart. If a procedure is broken, it doesn't matter how loyal you are to it. It fails. Same in life. If your habit is failing you, it doesn't matter how long you've done it. It's toxic. It's drowning your tub. Here's a question you need to ask every day. Does this habit make me stronger or weaker? Faster or slower? Clearer or cloudier? If the answer isn't stronger, faster, clearer, then it's time to let go. And the reality is simple. Letting go isn't polite. It isn't easy. It isn't comfortable. But it works. It frees space. It keeps your energy clean. It makes room for action, for opportunity, for clarity. So here's your first homework. Pick one routine, one comfort, one loyal habit you've clung to that isn't serving you. Write it down. Dismantle it. Replace it. Drain the tub. Next up, we hit the toxic habit that is emotional dynamite. Silent, slow, devastating, harboring grudges and resentment. That one will rot your tub faster than anything else. Let's get honest. The next toxic habit is holding grudges, nurturing resentment, and replaying past slights like a broken record. This one is invisible until it's too late. You think you're being principled, justified, standing your ground. What you're really doing? Carrying bricks in your bathtub. Heavy, unnecessary, silent. You don't see the damage until your energy collapses under the weight. I've seen this in investigations more than I can count. People fixate on the betrayal, the insult, the lie. Years later, they're still talking about it, still plotting, still simmering. They're trapped in the what happened instead of acting on what's next. Meanwhile, life moves forward around them. Meanwhile, opportunities pass. Meanwhile, they're drowning in their own water. Let me tell you a story. I was interviewing a foreign diplomat who had been sabotaged repeatedly by his colleagues. Everyone in his office hated him. He was obsessed. Every conversation, every decision, every email, he analyzed for signs of betrayal. I asked him bluntly, do you want justice or do you want control? He froze. He had confused the two. Justice is external. Control is internal. You can't control the past, but you can control what you carry forward. Here's the key. Resentment is a choice, not a feeling, not an accident. A choice. And you're making it every day. You replay that event. Text that person, mutter that line to yourself, scroll through their social media to see if they've moved on. Every time you do it, you pour another liter into your tub. Stop. Just stop. Contrast this. Holding grudges doesn't protect you. Forgiveness isn't weakness. Forgiveness is freedom. It doesn't mean you let someone back in. It doesn't mean you trust them again. It means you're not drowning while they live unbothered. You're not saying, they're okay. You're saying, I'm okay, and I refuse to let them steal more of my life. Practical exercise. Grab a notebook. Write down the one person or event you're still carrying. Write the exact behavior that hurt you then. This is crucial. Write the truth. What is in your control? Actions? Choices? Boundaries? Then close the page. Not forever. Just for today. Repeat tomorrow if needed. Stop adding water to your tub. Drain it. Another angle, resentment keeps you reactive. Angry people are predictable. They lash, overanalyze, freeze, or flee. Neutral energy is dangerous. Calm energy is powerful. Powerful people choose not to react to every slight. They conserve their bathtub. They act deliberately. They strike when it counts. And here's the kicker. This toxic habit interacts with every other one we've discussed. Overcommitting, clinging to comfort zones, trying to change people, overanalyzing the past. They all feed resentment. One brick becomes 2, becomes 10, becomes a wall you can't scale. Action step. Make it tactical. Every time you feel a surge of anger about a past event, ask yourself, will this help me solve something? Or am I just topping off my tub with more water? If it's the L, adder, stop. Do one small controlled action instead. Write, walk, breathe. Make a list of your next right moves. Anything but adding weight. Finally, remember this. Resentment is a slow poison disguised as loyalty, principle, or justice. You're not a martyr. You're not a hero. You're just tired. And there's a choice. Choose freedom. Choose clarity. Choose the empty bathtub. Next, we tackle a habit that masquerades as strength but is really self-sabotage. Perfectionism and over-policing yourself. That one will keep you stuck far longer than anyone else ever could. Perfectionism. Over-policing yourself. The silent killer of progress. This habit whispers in your ear, not good enough. Not yet. Fix it. Fix it. Fix it. It feels virtuous. It feels disciplined. It feels like control. But here's the truth. It's just another brick in the bathtub. Another cup of water pouring in while you convince yourself you're building strength. I learned this the hard way on detail. High-level protective operations leave zero room for mistakes. We trained obsessively. Every step, every movement, every response had to be flawless. But even then, we didn't dwell on mistakes. We fixed them immediately and moved on. Not overthinking, not obsessing, immediate correction, immediate action. Perfectionism outside of that context, paralyzing. Perfectionism keeps you small. It keeps you from making decisions, from taking risks, from trying, from growing. People who wait for perfect conditions never start. They think the world will bend to their readiness. It won't. Life is messy. Life is unpredictable. Life doesn't care about your polish. Life rewards execution, action, consistency, momentum. Add an agent in training who would rewrite every report 3 times, 3 times, always finding a comma wrong, a phrasing not elegant enough. I pulled him aside and said, "You're perfect on paper, but in reality, you're slow, exhausted, and useless in a real crisis. Stop polishing, start acting." He laughed. Didn't really hear me until he had to protect a motorcade under live fire. Then he understood. Perfectionism killed his speed. Speed saved lives. Here's the contrast: perfectionism versus progress. Perfectionism is a slow, sneaky toxin. Progress is aggressive, raw, imperfect, but it moves you forward. One small, imperfect action is worth more than 1,000 perfect thoughts or plans. One small, imperfect action. That's how your bathtub empties. That's how you gain momentum. Another point, perfectionism isn't just about work. It shows up in relationships, habits, routines, even self-image. You think, I need to be the perfect friend, partner, parent, or employee. No, you need to show up consistently, authentically, imperfectly. And that is enough. More than enough. Practical step for today: pick one area of your life where you've been over-policing yourself. One report, one project, one interaction. Do it once. Done. No rewrites. No could be better. Action beats polish every single time. Repeat. Watch your energy stabilize. Your bathtub drains slowly but surely when you stop obsessing. And here's the kicker. Perfectionism feeds another habit we'll cover next: people-pleasing and fear of saying no. Perfectionism convinces you that you must be flawless for others to accept you. That fear keeps you chained, overworked, and exhausted. That fear fills the tub faster than anything else. Next, we'll get into that. Why the fear of saying no is silently destroying your life, and how leaving it behind today can be revolutionary. Now we hit one of the most destructive habits, the one most people refuse to admit they have: people-pleasing and the fear of saying no. It's subtle, it's insidious, it feels noble. I'm just being helpful, I don't want to hurt anyone. Great. Except you are quietly dying under that weight. Every yes you didn't want to give is a cup of water poured into your tub. Every obligation you accepted to avoid conflict, every favor to avoid rejection, every compromise to avoid confrontation, it adds up slowly, silently. Eventually, you're drowning. I saw this during my time in protective operations. One detail officer kept saying yes to overtime, to extra shifts, to dangerous assignments. Why? He wanted approval, recognition, to look strong, to avoid conflict. By month 3, he was exhausted, anxious, and making mistakes that could have cost lives. I pulled him aside and said, "No one will remember your yes. They'll only remember the last mistake you made because you couldn't say no when it mattered." That hit him. Brutal. True. Here's the contrast you need. Saying no is not selfish, it's survival. Saying yes to everything is not loyalty, it's self-destruction. Saying yes to your tub overflowing is not kindness, it's surrender. Every time you say no, you are protecting your energy. You are preserving clarity. You are keeping yourself alive. You are freeing yourself to give fully when it matters. And listen, fear of saying no doesn't just hurt you. It teaches others your boundaries are negotiable. It teaches them your energy is cheap. It teaches them that your time is theirs to take. That's why predators, manipulators, and energy vampires love people pleasers. They're easy. They'll bleed you dry and smile while doing it. Story time. A colleague of mine had a boss who demanded impossible tasks at the last minute. He used to cave every time, thinking it would prove loyalty. One day, he froze, said no, and calmly explained why. The boss's jaw dropped. The world didn't end. In fact, he gained respect. Saying no didn't burn bridges, it built them on solid ground. That's a key lesson. Respect isn't given, it's earned, often by refusal. Actionable step for today. Pick one yes you've been saying automatically. For work, family, friends, or social pressure. Pause. Ask yourself, do I want this? Do I have capacity? Is this necessary? Then say no, out loud, or in writing. Or to yourself if you need practice. Small, measured, intentional. You're training your tub to hold only what matters. You're reclaiming space in your life. One more note, people will resist your no. They might push, they might guilt trip, they might act shocked. That's fine. That's expected. You don't need approval. You need boundaries. Your tub doesn't care about their feelings. It cares about your survival. Next, we tackle the habit that underpins so much suffering, yet masquerades as self-reflection, overthinking, and analysis paralysis. That one keeps people stuck in mental traffic while life speeds by. All right, let's expose the silent killer of momentum, overthinking and analysis paralysis. This one is sneaky because it feels productive. You tell yourself, I'm just being careful, I'm considering all the angles, I'm making the right choice. Yeah, sure. But in reality, you're frozen, stuck in traffic, watching life pass while you calculate, ruminate, plan, and worry. Meanwhile, other people, less prepared, less clever, less skilled, move past you, faster, smarter, free. I remember a protective detail assignment where a junior agent kept hesitating before every action. Checking, double-checking, triple-checking. I asked him bluntly, if every time you need to move you hesitate, who survives the threat? He blinked. Hesitation kills. Overthinking kills. Indecision kills. And it doesn't just kill in the field. It kills opportunities, growth, relationships, and your energy at home. Here's the truth. You're never going to have perfect information. Never. Life doesn't hand it to you on a silver platter. You will always have gaps. You will always have uncertainty. And your job, your responsibility, is to act with what you know, not what you wish you knew. Facts, data, behavior, actions, not fear, not hypotheticals, not imagined catastrophes. Overthinking also hides behind self-improvement. You can spend decades in reflection, courses, podcasts, books, learning about life, learning about yourself, but never applying anything. You're studying your bathtub while it's overflowing. You're polishing a plan while ignoring the water at your feet. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Action step, limit your decision window. Small things first, big things later. Give yourself 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 24 hours max, then commit. Done. Move. Stop asking what if endlessly. Movement teaches more than analysis ever will. Experience teaches more than theory ever will. Action produces results. Rumination produces nothing but exhaustion. Contrast this with overthinking. Decision creates clarity. Analysis paralysis creates anxiety. Decision fuels confidence. Hesitation fuels doubt. Decision produces progress. Overthinking produces nothing. You see how this is filling the bathtub? Every extra minute you spend in mental loops, pouring water. Every avoided action, pouring water. Every imagined disaster, pouring water. Stop pouring. Start draining. I once coached a client, a CEO, who was paralyzed by choices. Every strategic move, every hire, every partnership, every investment, frozen in deliberation. I told him, you're not deciding wrong, you're deciding late. Speed matters, action matters, imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. He resisted, but when he finally executed one decision, one only, momentum exploded. He realized his paralysis was optional, not necessary, totally optional. Next, we move into the habit that hides behind ambition but destroys focus, chasing validation instead of results. That's the subtle drain on every high-performing bathtub. Here's a hard truth. One of the most destructive habits people cling to is chasing validation instead of results. You think, if they notice me, approve me, like me, respect me, I'll be successful. Wrong. That's not success. That's approval seeking, and it's a toxic habit. It keeps you bending, shrinking, over-explaining, over-performing, filling your tub with other people's expectations instead of your own priorities. Every compliment you chase, every nod you crave, every like you obsess over is a cup of water pouring in while your bathtub fills, slowly, silently. Eventually, you drown in everyone else's opinions. I learned this first then. In the Secret Service. We had a detail officer obsessed with impressing the supervisors. He'd volunteer for every visible task, every extra report, every dangerous assignment. Guess what happened? He burned out in 3 months. His performance plummeted. He was visible, yes, but he was useless. Trying to be seen doesn't equal being effective. Results do. Always results. Contrast it, focus on impact, not applause. Results are real. Validation is temporary. Results create leverage. Validation is a mirage. People can praise you today, ignore you tomorrow, criticize you next week. Results, they endure. Results don't argue. Results don't disappear. Results don't require anyone's permission. Another story. I was working with a high-profile executive. She spent years chasing recognition, awards, praise, media coverage, compliments. She was exhausted. One day I asked, "Do you want recognition or results?" Pause. She said, "Recognition." I said, "Then you'll always be tired, always chasing, never fulfilled. Switch to results and the recognition comes naturally, but it's a byproduct, not a goal." She did. 3 years later, she runs her own company. Less stress, more impact. Same recognition, but earned instead of chased. Here's your action step. List one area where you're prioritizing attention over results. Stop, right now. Redirect focus, execute, measure progress, track impact, stop caring who notices, stop adjusting for applause, stop letting your tub overflow with other people's opinions. Own your work, own your actions, own your results. And here's the kicker. This habit fuels another toxic behavior we'll cover next. Living in reactive mode instead of proactive mode. Seeing approval keeps you on the defensive, always responding, always reacting, never leading, never in control, and that is a recipe for continuous emotional overload. Next, we tackle reactivity, impulsivity, and letting the world dictate your emotional state, a habit that most people don't even recognize but costs them every day. Now we confront a habit most people call just living, but it's really reactivity. Letting the world dictate your emotional state. It shows up as snapping at your partner for minor things, panicking over a missed email, spiraling when someone cuts in line, or losing focus because someone challenged your opinion. Reactive living feels normal, but it's a slow death for your bathtub. Every emotional reaction is another cup of water. Every triggered thought is another liter. You're drowning in stimuli you can't control. I saw this often in protective operations. Agents who reacted impulsively under stress endangered everyone around them. One moment of flare-up could escalate a simple confrontation into a diplomatic incident. I had to coach young agents constantly. Your emotions are tools, not chains. Reacting fast doesn't mean acting right. Slow down, assess, execute. The ones who mastered that became indispensable. The ones who didn't, burned out, reassigned, or worse. Here's the lesson. You are always choosing how to respond, even when it feels like you're not, even when your instincts scream, attack, defend, panic. You are choosing. Awareness is power. Discipline is freedom. Control is survival. Contrast pair, reaction versus response. Reaction is emotion-driven, impulsive, often destructive. Response is deliberate, calculated, informed by facts and priorities. Reaction fills your bathtub. Response drains it. One keeps you trapped. The other propels you forward. Story time. I was on a detail in a foreign country. A crowd turned hostile. People were yelling, pushing, threatening. Most agents felt adrenaline spike, tension rising. I reminded one rookie, notice the emotion, name it, decide before you act. He froze, processed, and made a calm, precise move that diffused the crowd. Result, no one hurt. Lesson, emotional mastery equals control. Control equals survival. Survival equals freedom. Now, practical step for today. Next time someone or something triggers you, stop before reacting. Take one slow breath. Name the emotion. Ask yourself, what action serves me right now? What keeps my tub from overflowing? Then act deliberately. Even small moments matter. Each one trains your system, lowers your stress, and protects your energy. Remember, people, events, and opinions are not your problem. They're your data. You choose what to let in. You choose what to act on. You choose what to ignore. That's power. That's clarity. That's draining the tub before it overflows. Next and last, we hit the final toxic habit that ties all of this together, clinging to excuses, avoiding responsibility, and blaming circumstances instead of owning your life. This one is the trapdoor beneath all the others. Here it is, the final toxic habit, the one that underpins every other habit we've talked about, Clinging to excuses, avoiding responsibility, blaming circumstances instead of owning your life. This habit whispers in your ear, it's not my fault, I can't help it, I was raised this way, the system is against me, I didn't have the chance. You tell yourself this story over and over, you even believe it. Meanwhile, your bathtub overflows with water you poured yourself. Every excuse, every blame, every if only is another cup added. It's comfortable, it's safe, it's toxic as hell. I saw this constantly on detail. People would fail, make mistakes, misjudge situations, and the first thing out of their mouth wasn't, what did I do wrong? It was, why did this happen to me? Wrong question. Dangerous question. Focus on what's within your control. Always within your control. Contrast, responsibility versus victimhood. Responsibility is power. Victimhood is paralysis. Responsibility frees your energy. Victimhood fills the tub until it bursts. Responsibility lets you act. Victimhood lets others act through you. Responsibility is life. Excuses are death by inches. Here's a story. I worked with a young agent who made repeated mistakes. He kept blaming external factors, assignments, people, schedules, everything except himself. He thought acknowledging mistakes would make him weak. I said bluntly, owning it is the only way you get stronger. Stop blaming. Start acting. Stop being a spectator in your own life. He resisted. Then, during a live exercise, he applied that lesson. He took ownership. He made decisions. He led. He survived and thrived. That's the difference. Ownership saves lives. Ownership saves careers. Ownership saves your bathtub from drowning. Actionable step, Todd. I pick one area where you've been blaming circumstances, others, or your past. Write it down. Then write what you can do right now to take control. One step, one choice, one action. No excuses, no justifications. Action. Ownership. That's it. Final truth, toxic habits aren't just behaviors, they're energy vampires. They steal focus, clarity, power, and time. They make you weaker, slower, smaller. But here's the beauty, you have the choice every single day, every single moment. You always do. No one can make you carry the bricks. No one can make you say yes. No one can make you replay the past. The tub is yours. Drain it, control it, protect it. So here's your roadmap. 10 toxic habits to leave behind today. Romanticizing your struggle, trying to change people instead of reading them. Overcommitting while under-delivering, holding grudges and nurturing resentment. Perfectionism and over-policing yourself. People-pleasing and fear of saying no. Overthinking and analysis paralysis. Chasing validation instead of results. Living in reactive mode, clinging to excuses and avoiding responsibility. Start with one, then the next. Small, deliberate, consistent. Shoes by the bed, tiny steps. One action today, one tomorrow, one after that. You don't need perfection. You need motion. You need space. You need control. You need an empty bathtub and a mind ready for life, not drowning in habits that never served you. You're not weak. You're not incapable. You're far more powerful than you think, but only if you stop pouring water in. Drain the tub, protect your energy, own your life. This is your moment. Not tomorrow, not when it's convenient. Today, one step, one choice, one habit at a time.